episode 43, part 1 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters podcast. Remember to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support the Kenya Simbas as they are still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in Japan in 2019. And as we are all about promoting sports and sports travel, we have partnered with Moran Sports Travel to give you this brilliant offer for the Dubai Sevens on the 1st and 2nd of December. So for only $999, you get to experience your desert safari, your nighttime barbecue, and your Dow cruise. All this and more details coming up on your screen. I'm Rima Duffield.
This is Ngashi, official noisemaker.
Jerengus, Kenyana.
So Ngaro, what do you have for us today on Rugby 101?
We've moved away from the technical terms again. We're just talking about words that you hear guys talking about when you're watching a game of rugby. And today we'll be talking about flow, or flowing the ball. So think about it in its natural sense, the word that is. And in our earlier episodes, of course, we explained to people that a rugby ball can only be passed lateral or back, right? It cannot be passed forward. So when the ball is moving through the players in that lateral or back motion, that's when you'll normally hear guys talking about their flowing the ball. That's what the flow is. So see Maji, sit up. When you hear guys talking about flowing the ball, this is the movement from players from one side, let's say, to the other, and it's normally evident, especially when the backs are moving the ball. Yep. That's from number 9 to number 15. So that's our word for today, i.e. flow. Yep.
All right. So Safari Sevens. I mean, a lot of people I know were looking forward to it, and then they weren't looking forward to it because of ticket pricing. Yeah. But still, there are people who were looking forward to it.
Exactly.
But apparently, it has been. Kerry, you stated that the Safari Sevens has been postponed, although there are murmurs here and there that it has actually been cancelled.
Yeah. Just bar talk and conversations from some of the guys who were involved in the planning of the Safari Sevens. First issue, of course, was that with the date was the political climate in the country. The elections, of course, are slated for 26th of October, and Safari Sevens had been slated for 3rd to 5th November. Yep. So a couple of the participating nations were a bit apprehensive about coming for the Safari Sevens because of that. Number 2, the Silicon Valley Sevens, which is happening the same weekend. I think most of the top tier nations have chosen to go for the Silicon Valley Sevens and shun the Safari Sevens. They're talking about these two things, but to me, I think it's a bit deeper. The story is a bit deeper. Could be something to do with they're disorganized in terms of the planning. We know what happens in these functions, but that's the stand as of now. Kerry, you have said it's been postponed, though I think it's been cancelled.
Yeah. What do you think? Postponed or cancelled?
Could be cancelled. And this political climate reason, I think it's just become the standard excuse, if I may say, for all these cancelled events that we've been having. It's very disappointing for the rugby and fans because it had been brought back to the RFU grounds. I'd rather the Sherehe grounds. It was a bit disappointing, and this is the first time it's happening since 1996. This could be the first time that we not have the Safari Sevens. So, well, I'll agree with you, Nash. There could be something deeper going on. We are yet to know. Maybe in the next few days or weeks, we'll find out. And we can now talk further. And then let's look at Christie Sevens. If at all they were ready, we can tell by how Christie's will be.
Yeah. I've been there recently. They were not ready for Sevens.
The only thing I've seen is a new light box that is there spelling out Kenya Harlequin.
Yeah. and I don't think that'll help with Safari.
Yep.
Oh well, that leaves room for real rugby.
True.
Next topic is Namibia, our main sort of competitors in the qualifiers for the Rugby World Cup, have 2 test matches next month, that is in November against Uruguay. What do you think about these preparations for them?
Uruguay, physical team, South American team. They've been regular participants now at the Rugby World Cup. So of course for them it's a matchup. But my only issue with Namibia, I think Namibia would be slating to play teams who play like us.
Yeah.
Not really a forward dominating, not really teams that are dominating with the forward pack, which is Uruguay, which that's how Uruguay play. But teams with athletic guys and electric backs, I thought that's how they would be preparing. But look, it's Uruguay. They are regular competitors at the Rugby World Cup, so it's they're putting their house in order. I don't know what we are doing.
But you can see this guy that I was saying, they're actually working hard towards the World Cup qualifiers. Uruguay is ranked 18th in the world, 3 spots above Namibia, which is 20, they're ranked 21st. So it's good for them. But the good thing is we're also not asleep. We'll be having the Cup of Nations where we'll be playing. Guys who are all ranked above us, save for Chile. Chile, who are just a position behind us, 28th. So let's see how it's going to pan out. It's going to be tough for Namibia facing Uruguay, but it's good for them and good for us because we'll be facing Russia and Hong Kong. So,
all the best to, I'd like to say both teams, but
go Uruguay!
Supporting Uruguay.
All right, now moving on to international rugby. Had the last set of Rugby Championship games. So we had Argentina versus Australia. That was 20-37 in favor of Australia. But then the game that everyone was talking about was South Africa versus New Zealand. 24-25. New Zealand just won. I mean, we were watching this game together. What do you have to say about it?
Kudos to South Africa. On the day they played ball. I liked their forward pack. They are very dominating in the scrums. Marco Max, you have to give him a shout, the hooker. He actually scored their last try. Elton Yantis, I think, had a decent game until he went out. Then he came back on when Hangman Pollard got injured. But their forwards were very good. Eben Etzebeth had a very good game. But then I think New Zealand's class just came out in the last minute. And you see what shocks me with New Zealand is like Barrett got injured. Odin Barrett concussed, he left. Nehemiah Laskada popped his shoulder, he left. But the guys who came in were still deadly.
Same level,
Havili, Lima Sopona at fly half, playing a very decent game. His kick is actually what helped New Zealand. And for me, that game, it just showed the class of rugby. I don't know if you've been seeing the social media post by Damien Dialande, who was sent off. And he comes out saying that it was not intentional. And Lima Sopoanga replies and says, look, I know it was just in the heat of the moment in the game. So it was a brilliant test match. South Africa have actually given us kind of a snippet in terms of what they can be able to do for the Rugby World Cup. I know on the pitch there was hashtag South Africa 2023. Rugby was back at new lands after 10 years. So South Africa actually put up a very good showing, and kudos to them. They did lose, but kudos to them. The other one, of course, we expected Australia to beat Argentina, so not really much to comment on that.
I was asking myself, where was this South Africa all along? Because these guys really turned up for this game. As you mentioned, Max had a very fantastic game, a couple of turnovers. A lot of turnovers from a hooker. And I think it was a day for the 10s, because both 10s were out at one point. Beaten concussed, as you said. Yantis had to come back in. It was a good showing from South Africa, but then you see New Zealand have set another standard that all these teams are yet to get there. As you mentioned, a lot of the guys went off because of injury and the substitutes, but you couldn't feel any change. The standard still maintained. The guys were still operating at a very high level. South Africa tried as much as they could. I think it was more of trying to save face after the 57-0. So kudos to them. Good for South Africa. Let's see how they're going to work on what they need to come the World Cup 2019.
Just one thing though, very well done to South Africa. They, when you look at the table, they're only actually 1 point behind Australia. Which that was very good.
Just 1 point behind Australia. I think Australia was because of a bonus point that they got with this game against Argentina. But all in all, I think it was a save for New Zealand and Argentina, who always take the last position. I think it has been a fairly good rugby championship. I think about the game, Australia versus New Zealand in New Zealand. That is an electric game. You think about the game that happened over the weekend at Newlands. It was an electric game. Think about the 2 Australia versus South Africa games that were draws. Yeah, so it has been a very good, from a fan's perspective, it has been a very good rugby championship.
Yep. Well, that's it for the Rugby Championship.
Yep.
Remember, guys, you can follow us on Instagram, like our page on Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Demima Duffield.
This is Nyashi, official noisemaker.
Jerry Goose, Kenyana.
See you in part 3. I'm Demima Duffield.
This is Nyashi, official noisemaker.
Jerry Goose, Kenyana.
See you.